The Gray Man follows the story of Sierra 6, a CIA agent who goes rogue after discovering a dark conspiracy within the agency. He is pursued by his former colleague and nemesis, Lloyd Hansen, a ruthless mercenary who will stop at nothing to capture him and claim a huge bounty. The movie takes us on a global chase across exotic locations, from Bangkok to Paris to Prague, as Sierra 6 tries to evade Hansen and his army of assassins, while also protecting a young girl who holds the key to his past. The movie begins with a flashback to 2003, when Sierra 6, whose real name is Cortland Gentry, was a teenage convict who was recruited by a CIA official named Donald Fitzroy to join the Sierra program, a covert unit of assassins. 18 years later, Gentry is now a seasoned operative who works with Danny Miranda, a fellow agent and love interest, to eliminate targets around the world. Their latest mission is to kill a man named Dining Car, who is selling national security secrets to the highest bidder. However, things go wrong when Gentry realizes that Dining Car is actually Fitzroy, his former mentor, who reveals that he has been working for a shadowy organization called the Syndicate, which controls the CIA and other global agencies. Fitzroy tells Gentry that he is the only one who knows his true identity, and that he has to die to protect the Syndicate's secrets. Gentry shoots Fitzroy, but not before he sends a message to the Syndicate, exposing Gentry as a traitor. The Syndicate then activates Lloyd Hansen, a former Sierra agent who was Gentry's friend and rival, but turned into a cold-blooded killer after a botched mission in Iraq. Hansen is offered a $100 million bounty to capture Gentry alive and bring him to the Syndicate's leader, a mysterious man known as the Buyer. Hansen accepts the offer and assembles a team of elite assassins, including Suzanne Brewer, a skilled hacker, Carmichael, a British sniper, and Laszlo Sosa, a former Interpol agent. They track down Gentry to Bangkok, where he is hiding with Danny. A fierce gunfight ensues, in which Danny is killed and Gentry barely escapes. He then contacts Avik, a former Indian intelligence officer who owes him a favor, and asks him to help him get out of the country. Avik agrees to help Gentry, but also reveals that he has a daughter named Claire, who is the result of a one-night stand with Gentry's ex-wife. Gentry is shocked to learn that he has a daughter, and decides to take her with him, hoping to protect her from the Syndicate. He also learns from Avik that the Buyer is actually a former CIA director named Margaret Cahill, who was ousted by the Syndicate and now wants revenge. She plans to use Gentry as a bargaining chip to expose the Syndicate and regain her power. Gentry is skeptical of Cahill's motives, but agrees to meet her in Paris, where she promises to clear his name and give him a new identity. However, Hansen and his team are also on their way to Paris, having hacked Avik's phone and learned of Gentry's location. They arrive at the airport and ambush Gentry and Claire, who manage to board a train to Paris. Hansen follows them on the train and engages in a brutal hand-to-hand fight with Gentry, while Brewer hacks the train's system and causes it to derail. Gentry and Claire survive the crash, but are separated. Gentry is captured by Hansen, who tortures him and tries to break his spirit. Claire is rescued by Fitzroy, who survived Gentry's shot and faked his death. He tells Claire that he is her grandfather, and that he wants to help her reunite with her father. Meanwhile, Cahill arrives in Paris and meets with Fitzroy, who is actually her lover and partner. They reveal that they have been manipulating Gentry and Hansen all along, and that they plan to use them to expose and destroy the Syndicate. They also reveal that they have a mole inside the Syndicate, who is none other than Fitzroy's son and Claire's uncle, Doolin. Doolin informs them that the Syndicate is holding a meeting in Prague, where they will finalize a deal with a Russian oligarch named Parisian, who is supplying them with nuclear weapons. Cahill and Fitzroy decide to use Gentry and Hansen as pawns to infiltrate the meeting and assassinate the Syndicate's members, including the Buyer, who is actually a decoy. Cahill and Fitzroy then contact Hansen and offer him a deal. They will give him Gentry in exchange for his cooperation in the Prague mission. Hansen agrees, but secretly plans to double-cross them and kill them all. He also contacts Brewer and tells her to find Claire and bring her to him, hoping to use her as leverage against Gentry. Brewer tracks down Claire and Fitzroy, and kidnaps Claire. However, Fitzroy manages to kill Brewer and rescue Claire. He then contacts Gentry and tells him the truth about Cahill's plan, and asks him to trust him and join him in Prague. Gentry agrees, but also secretly plans to double-cross Cahill and Fitzroy and kill them all. The movie ends with a climactic showdown in Prague, where Gentry, Hansen, Cahill, Fitzroy, Doolin, and Claire all converge at the syndicate's meeting. A massive shootout erupts, in which Gentry and Hansen team up to fight their way through the syndicate's guards and agents. They reach the buyer, who turns out to be a masked woman. Gentry unmasks her and recognizes her as Margaret Cahill, who reveals that she is the real leader of the syndicate, and that the other Cahill was a body double. She also reveals that she orchestrated the whole scheme to lure Gentry and Hansen to Prague, and that she intends to kill them and use their DNA to create a new generation of super assassins. She shoots Hansen in the chest, and prepares to shoot Gentry, but he is saved by Claire, who arrives with Fitzroy and Doolin. Claire shoots Cahill in the head, killing her. Fitzroy and Doolin then reveal that they are also part of the syndicate, and that they plan to take over Cahill's position. They shoot Gentry and Claire, but they are both wearing bulletproof vests. Gentry then kills Fitzroy and Doolin, and reunites with Claire. He also finds Hansen, who is still alive, and decides to spare him, saying that they are both survivors. He then tells Claire that he is her father, and that he loves her. He also tells Hansen that he is his friend, and that he forgives him. The movie closes with Gentry, Hansen, and Claire leaving Prague together, as a new family.